I like to go over people's credentials before we have them on. Former Razorback, former Buffalo Bills captain, Kentucky Hall of Famer, had over 2,000 yards and 16 touchdowns as a Razorback in 38 games, over 500 tackles, 14 interceptions, nearly a decade in the National Football League, the center. And, I mean, he's part of the Bills, helping out with the Bills now, their broadcast. George Wilson joins us. George,
we have a professional broadcaster on the show here. Not us, but with us.
We can hit on last night and other things. But, George, I know you were with your son last night. We were talking a little bit yesterday. Obviously, as a former player with the Bills, when did you start doing some stuff for them, man?
Well, I started getting my feet wet with some broadcasting. It would have been the end of last season. And this season, we've kind of taken a few more steps, and I try to do post-game commentary for all their home games. And I just so happened to be in Houston last night visiting my son, and we went and saw the game last night. Unfortunately, the Bills laid an egg. They got outmatched and outplayed, and I mean, a dominant performance by the Texans defense, and it was tough to see the Bills look like that. They hadn't played a game that bad, I don't think, in a couple of years at least.
George, are there some similarities between Bills Mafia and Razorback fans?
I see a lot of similarity, and I experienced that when I was there, and it's just, with the Razorbacks in Arkansas, there's no professional team. And so, you're the focus day in and day out, whether you're in season or off season. And with the Bills, that's the only thing outside of the Sabres that Buffalo and Western New York has. And so it kind of gives you that collegiate game day tailgate experience. Most of the time, most NFL tailgate experiences are a little bit more like sophisticated, let's say. But, when you get into that Bills Mafia tailgating experience, it has that collegiate feel where it's vibrant, it's energetic, it's exciting, it's thrilling. It's kind of a great prequel and complement to what the game day experience and what the actual game experience would entail. And so, it's a very passionate fan base. And they don't let you they'll talk about their team, but they won't let anybody else talk about their guys. So, a lot of similarities between the two fan bases.
Well, it feels this year like Razorback fans are in a barrel going over Niagara Falls. So, I'll tie that in here. What's it like watching from afar? The school you love, the school you went to, have been downtrodden and fallen on hard times. What kind of take us in the mind of a former player and what you and your teammates and what are y'all texting back and forth about the state of affairs here at home?
It's frustrating for sure. I mean, you see other programs like a Vanderbilt who has pulled themselves up and have adapted to this new landscape in collegiate sports and are very competitive. And then you see programs like ours or Florida, down in Gainesville and LSU to an extent in Baton Rouge. It's definitely frustrating, especially because that the state has talent. The program has a lot of rich history and tradition. And, we've just had a very challenging and difficult time trying to find our traction in this new NIL landscape. We lose a lot of guys, as do most programs do year in and year out, but it's a new landscape that we have yet to kind of find our footing in. So I'm hopeful that with our next hire as head coach that we'll put somebody in there that has shown the ability to be productive and active in recruiting and keeping guys that want to be there and are vital to those game-breaking type of players. They're highly sought after. They're expensive. But when you find that right mixture of talent, you can go places. We've shown the ability and the capacity to do it in the past, and we're just trying to recapture some of that essence of what was. And so we're in a transformational and pivotal point in our program, and so hopefully we get it right.
You mentioned the right mixture. I mean, in the NIL world where money does matter more than it's ever mattered before. We've had some that have called and they have the opinion you got to have more Arkansas roots and ties. You're a Kentucky kid that came in and got to see it and play with kids that are play with other guys that were from this state. What in your opinion is the right mix of how you get this program right? What's the recipe to get back on track here?
Yeah, I don't necessarily think it has anything to do with the number of guys. It's not a set number of guys that you got to have, but you have to win in your own backyard when it comes to recruiting. Your top prospects, you got to try to keep those guys in state. And, for a time there, we were able to do that. But now we have other programs coming into the state of Arkansas and poaching our guys because they can maybe the program is in a better state, or maybe they have more, funding or financial opportunities. Whatever that reason is, we have to do a better job of closing that gap and making guys want to choose Arkansas first as opposed to considering anywhere else.
Talking with former Razorback wide receiver George Wilson. We'll get to that Texas win coming up in a bit, but George, to that point, Tommy mentioned you're a Kentucky guy, and you heard that little snippet that Colton put together. Your brother played in the SEC. What pushed you to Fayetteville help me, is it Paducah, Kentucky? What caused the kid from Paducah, Kentucky to end up in Fayetteville?
Oh, man, by happenstance. The way the story goes is I think you guys, Arkansas was on a bye week. One of your grad assistants named Justin Krause was from Murray, Kentucky, which was, where Coach Nutt had coached at Murray State University before coming to Arkansas. So you guys were on your bye week. He comes home to visit his family. My high school happens to be playing his old high school. He shows up to the game. I have like 3 touchdowns in the first half. Didn't really play much in the second half. And I started getting, I got a questionnaire, and then that's kind of how the communication initially started. And so, I was a smart student. I was a smart kid, had great grades, but I didn't, for the numbers that I put up, I really didn't have the opportunities. I mean, Kentucky was recruiting me, University of Louisville was recruiting me, but when it came time for those scholarship offers, I didn't get one. And I really wasn't satisfied with going to a smaller school because I felt like I could play at the highest, most elite level. And so, just in talking with JC and Coach Fitzhill and Danny Nutt, we were able to find a way to give me an academic scholarship and walk on the football team. And that's all I ever asked for. I was like, you guys don't have to guarantee me or promise me anything. Just give me an opportunity, and I'll take care of the rest. And I'm just so appreciative of the opportunity. Arkansas, my time at Arkansas was some of the best years of my life.
Georgie, you were part of some great wins. I think about some long overtime games against Ole Miss and Kentucky, but it's obviously Texas week. You played the Longhorns tomorrow. You guys went to Austin for the first time in 13 years, and you're going back for the first time in 22. Take us back to 2003 when you guys beat Texas and what that experience was like under Coach Nutt.
Oh man, we were hyped. We were excited for that opportunity. Everybody counted us out. We were not expected to win, but we wanted to make a statement early that season. I believe that was the second game of the year. I think we opened up the season with Tulsa, I believe. But I remember vividly going into summer camp that year. As we were going through camp, the coaches started intertwining some of the Texas game plan into our practices. And so for entire summer camp, we were basically game planning for Texas. We get to the first game against Tulsa, and we switched that and focus on them, but we had been working on Texas for 6 or more weeks. And so when we got in Austin, I remember the night before, Coach Nutt brought in Mr. Lindsey and Jerry Jones to talk about the history of the Arkansas-Texas rivalry. and I remember Coach Nutt coming up to me after the meeting, telling me that tomorrow, what the first play call was going to be, which was a pass play, what we called a deep stick route. And so when you go back and watch the game, first play of the game, Matt drops back, throws me a 20-yard pass. But Coach Nutt was going into the game aggressive, wanting to be aggressive, wanting to keep him off balance. He was confident. He was prepared, and he had us ready and prepared and confident as well. And so to go in there, I think opening drive, they went down and scored. Opening drive, scored a touchdown on the opening drive, and I think we went on and scored 21 unanswered before they were able to score again. And so, but it was intense. It was exciting, and man, just some great memories. When I got the call from you guys yesterday, wanting to talk about it, it just took me back through memory lane, and I went back and watched old videos and looked at some pictures I had in my phone, and just brought back great memories. I just remember that team being a senior dominant team. I think we had about 20 or 25 seniors. But what made me emotional yesterday when I was reflecting and thinking about that was just how close we were. We were, as Coach Nutt used to call us, he's like, you're a band of brothers. And every Saturday you're going out into a foxhole with your brothers. And we got to have each other's back. And we went into that, figuratively speaking, foxhole in Austin that day. And we were not going to be denied. And just kind of going back to what we're talking about previously with the NIL, that senior team, we most of us were there for 4 or 5 years together. And so we had that continuity. We had that connectivity. We enjoyed working with each other. We liked each other. We loved each other. We respected each other. And we built that rapport over that 4 or 5 years, whereas now with this NIL, you got guys that are in and out and changing locker rooms every single year. So it's hard to build that continuity and that connectivity in the locker room like you once were able to do. And so, but that to me was one of the major factors in getting that win that day and just having that early success we had that season, because we had a great mixture of veteran leadership with some young athletes to kind of help fill in some of those gaps. And, it was really on great display in that ambush in Austin.
Razorback great George Wilson with us here on the Lewis Automotive Group hotline. Matt Jones is on our team here at the radio station. He's sitting in the room next door to me right now. Talk about playing with him as a teammate and the quarterback wide receiver dynamic y'all had. What was Matt like as a teammate for you?
Man, I loved playing with Matt. You never knew if we were up 40 or down 40 when you talked to Matt. He's so even keel, never too high, never too low, always looking forward to the next play. He's a gamer, a game breaker. I mean, anywhere on the field, Matt was able to make a play with his arm or with his legs. And just a great all-around guy. We just enjoyed spending time and just getting to work. But Matt was an elite athlete who was really at the frontier, when you think about it, of the RPO. We implemented the RPO, over 20 years ago, when now it's just commonplace now in any football program at every level. And so Matt was a trailblazer in a lot of senses. And sometimes it was just great. Sometimes we out there blocking for him, and you just see this long-legged guy running around like a deer with the football in one hand, and he's out running guys to the end zone and making plays, extending the play and making the throws. And we went through 7 overtimes together in Ole Miss, at Kentucky. His career, his mark that he left on the Arkansas program will last forever. And then we go into the NFL. I'm playing. I'm on defense, and Matt comes in, and he's a wide receiver, and we seem to play Jacksonville every year for a period of time and see this guy now making plays as a wideout, running that 40 in the fewest amount of steps ever, I believe. But, I mean, I can't say enough great things about Matt. It was just such a pleasure playing alongside him and just seeing him accomplish everything that he was able to.
What was it like transitioning from wide receiver to safety? I was watching some stuff this morning, like that Monday Night Football interception on Tony Romo. I mean, you kind of were wandering in the wilderness for a little bit, George, and then all of a sudden you flip the script. You're playing safety, and you got nearly a decade career in the National Football League.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it was an incredible challenge. It was a very laborious challenge. I mean, it was something that was intense. It was something that was difficult at times. But as I just remember thinking to myself, I said, hey, I've been in the NFL now for 3 seasons. I haven't really seen the field much as a wide receiver, primarily limited to special teams. And I got the opportunity to move positions, and I'm like, hey, maybe this is the opportunity that I've been waiting for. Maybe this is the avenue to help me fully realize my NFL dreams. And so I remember thinking to myself, what do I know to help me shorten this learning curve? And I've always been a student of the game, and I just thought to myself, I know offense. I know splits. I know the correlation between the drop of the quarterback and the depths of the routes. I know body language, the difference between if I'm trying to look to see who I'm blocking versus looking to see what the coverage is. So all these little nuances and details I knew because I had lived it. And so I was like, okay, I need to figure out how I can apply that to my defensive scheme and my assignments. And so that's what really allowed me to really kind of make that position change over an off season and then go on and start 9 games that following year after not having played safety since I was in high school. And so I had some great coaches and teammates that really were very instrumental in helping me in that transition. But really, guys, it just boiled down to being a ball player. And that's something else I'd like to mention, because when I was there at Arkansas, we primarily ran the ball. Mm-hmm. And so I was blocking a lot. And Coach James Shebest, another all-time great wide receiver from Arkansas, was my wide receiver coach. And he would always talk to Richard Smith and I about being complete football players.
Track and field, baby.
You can't just – yes, you have to be able to play without the ball and impact the game without having to have the ball in your possession. And so that mentality I got from Coach Shebest. So he's the one that really taught us that, hey, know the game, understand your assignment, understand where you fit into the scheme, and why it's necessary for you to do your job effectively, play in and play out. And so that whole football IQ and trying to understand the game came from Coach Shebest, and that really helped to propel me throughout my professional career, because I always looked at the game that way. When I was a wide receiver, I was a guy that I had to learn what all 4 spots, what their job responsibilities were. Yeah, when I was on special teams, I learned what everybody's job assignment was so that I could know where I fit into it. And I did the same thing when I played defense. And, I prided myself on kind of being the quarterback of the defense, because I not only knew my job and my assignment, I also did a lot of film study to be able to anticipate what the offense was trying to do to us. And that really just helped to extend and sustain my career, because, I never was a 4-4, 4-3 or 4-4 guy. But because I studied film, because I knew tendencies and knew the percentages, I'm being a 4-5 guy, I could react and be in position faster than someone who ran a 4-3 or 4-4 that was faster than me. I was able to speed up my reaction time because of my mental preparation. And so just being a good all-around football player is something that that really helped aid that transition and allowed me to end up playing as long as I did.
George, some guy that says he could still beat you in the 40 just walked in. He wanted to say hi.
The highways and the byways, George Wilson, man.
Hey, the highway. What's up, Maddie?
What's up, brother? I echo that because my freshman year, George would tell you I'd get into the game and I'd be like, George, what route do you got? We'd call a play like, what do you got? All right. Let's go get him, George. What's up, dude?
Right. What's going on, brother? How you been?
Man, life's good. Can't complain. Just trying to get these Razorbacks to get a victory somewhere up and down the line. Why not Texas week?
We got, hey man, with a rivalry game, anything can happen. Throw the records out the window, man. Hopefully we can pull it off tomorrow.
You don't always win your first bet. That's why MyBookie has you covered. Use our code HOGS, HOGS, and your first bet up to $500 is fully covered. If your pick doesn't hit, you get it right back with our Bet Back bonus. Go to mybookie.ag and use the code HOGS to claim your Bet Back bonus. MyBookie's where bettors win together because bragging's good, but cashing in is better. And your first bet is fully covered. Use our code HOGS.
Must opt in during the bet to use the Bet Back bonus.